Welcome to the Expansive Astrology podcast, where we look at using astrology beyond the tropes and horoscopes to tune into the natural forces around us and within us, honoring our true nature to craft our future. I'm your host, Melissa, the Self-Care Witch, and I'm here to help you meet your magic. Without further ado, let's begin this week's episode with a tarot reading for the collective. Hi, welcome back to the podcast. It's episode 31, and I'm excited to chat with you today. It's our final week of Sagittarius season. The sun moves into Capricorn next week, so because Sagittarius brings such massive invitations and inspiration for us to live our most courageous, expanded, imaginative life possible, that's exactly what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to talk about soul expansion and soul alignment. It should be a good one, but first things first, I have a collective tarot reading for you. I've already pulled this one because I've already attempted to record this intro. You may notice that the quality of the sound might not be how it normally is. Not to say that the sound is superb quality usually, but surprise, surprise, I'm having tech issues again. If it's not one thing, it's another, I swear. And my microphone isn't working for me, so I'm recording in a different way, and I'm sure it is likely to sound different. But hang with me, bear with me. I have a great episode for you today, and we have a very powerful tarot reading to start. We have 3 major arcana cards and a queen card. So this is the collective tarot reading inspired by the Soul Check-In spread by Lindsay Mack. It's a 4-card spread, and some of the things I say today, it might feel like I'm talking directly to you. It might resonate, it might hit right at home. Some things maybe not so much, right? Either way, I encourage you to trust your knowing, take what you need and leave the rest. And even if something isn't landing for you today, I do encourage you to stay open to seeing how these things may play out for you over the week to come. Because if you're hearing this, I trust that you're meant to hear this. So like I said, we have a very powerful spread this week. Let me tell you about it. Present for us, we have the sun supported by the Queen of Wands. Our last week of Sagittarius season, we have tarot cards representing the other 2 fire signs in the zodiac. The sun is related to Leo energy, and the Queen of Wands is related to Aries energy. So we've got some fire, some major fire present for us this week. Let me break it down. The Sun card is one of the last cards that we experience in the majors. The Sun card is not just a card about like happiness and youth and like freedom. That can be there, certainly. And the Sun card is more about like a way of approaching ourselves and approaching what we encounter. The Sun card encourages us to really see with clarity, to embrace illumination, to embrace what is coming to us with clarity and wonder and acceptance. Kind of like there's like a naked baby riding on a white horse in the Pamela Coleman Smith Rider-Waite Centennial deck, and so that brings up this idea of like approaching the world with the eyes of a child, kind of. Can you approach the world with fresh new eyes? Can you take in who and how you are, as well as what and how your experiences are? You know what I'm saying? Can you take it all in with optimistic, fresh eyes, willing to see the truth for just what it is? You know, there's a very like organic feel to this. There's a very there's an emphasis on acceptance, like really raw, organic, and a raw, organic way of being, truly like touching in with the truth of who you are, down to the core. And being willing to like see ourselves and be ourselves in such a free way that it is like we're riding naked through a field on a white horse. Can you approach the world, or at least yourself, with that kind of an attitude, like so willing to just like be yourself and see yourself and ride into that and with that? It's about clarity. I really read the last few cards up until the world as like different experiences of, or different layers of, or different avenues to finding clarity. And the Sun card is a really lovely depiction of that, a lovely invitation into that. And it's not about feeling happy. It's not about feeling happy about what is coming to us or what's illuminated to us, but it is about being with the things in a really honest, raw, pure way. And I mean, I say pure, meaning like unbiased, non-judgmental, really willing to be with the truth, really willing to be with ourselves and our experiences as they are, without any like judgment about it. And funny that the Judgment card is what comes next. That idea, our ability to do that, our work with that, is strengthened by and supported by the Queen of Wands. Cardinal fire. The Queen of Wands is about using our fire, our energy, our magic, our power in very empowered, aligned ways, right? The Queen of Wands can be pretty impulsive or rash, can be very like burn the bridge, off with their heads, pew, 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 like just fire everywhere. And what we learn as we empower ourselves in Queen of Wands energy is how to use our fire effectively and wisely without burning ourselves out, without burning any bridges that we may need later, right? But using our fire in really wise, empowered, expert ways. Some say that the Queen of Wands is the witch of the tarot. When I pull this card, I really like, Lindsay Mack has a lovely, who's surprised that I think this, Lindsay Mack has a lovely spiel about the Queen of Wands, which is that like when you pull her, you can rest assured that like you are being encouraged to just step into and tap into your magic, your unique expression of power and magic. Lindsay Mack says, like, keep your eyes on your own paper. Don't compare your leadership or your power or your magic to anyone else. Just really step into it for yourself. Trust yourself and, rule your kingdom. Use your fire to rule your kingdom and really like sustain yourself, nourish yourself, nurture yourself, engage with creativity and all the fire things. So when we have this idea of like keeping your eyes on your own paper, like you have power that nobody else has, you have a unique way of being in the world and a unique way of using your energy and your creativity and your fire. That idea paired with the Sun, which is all about acknowledgement and acceptance of your most raw, organic, true form. What a lovely combo. And that's just present for us to kind of open up to and welcome in. And I know it sounds really lovely and supportive for me. So I'll definitely be welcoming this energy in with wide open arms. The next card I have to tell you about, maybe not so much. The Tower card came up as our lesson this week, which I always say that in this spread, this position kind of represents like some areas where we might have some spicy opportunities to learn a thing or perfect a thing, or I should say strengthen something rather than perfect. The Tower coming up as our lesson for the week really tells me that something is going to come up that is going to bring us straight to the foundation of a thing. And given the rest of the spread, I worry that this Tower experience, something may come up that brings us straight down to the foundation of acknowledging and honoring and being in our power. So that might look really spicy. That might not look so pretty, right? If we're getting an opportunity to tend the root system, the soil, the foundation of our sense of power and empowerment, and our sense of self, our sense of self-trust, it might not look so pretty. It brings up a couple things that are kind of cliche in my own world at this point, because I say them really frequently to clients. Things like never miss an opportunity to teach someone how to treat you, right? If something comes up this week that really shakes you, shakes your sense of empowerment and power, and like self-trust, notice that like shakiness. Notice that, ooh, this might be like a Tower moment for me, where I'm being invited to look at the foundation of what is happening here, the foundation of my sense of self and my sense of self-trust. If you notice this happening, see if you can lean into self-trust. See if you can move from that place regardless of what might be coming up for you. I don't read the Tower as necessarily a bad card or a warning or a bad omen, but it does tend to be a spicy card. It tends to represent something that we wouldn't necessarily choose for ourselves, which is very uncomfortable and like icky for our brain and our ego, right? And this relatively spicy card, not bad, not even hard necessarily, but spicy, is coming up in the spicy spot of the spread. So, not to expect this, and I usually like hesitate away from language like this in tarot readings, but it's feeling kind of true for me this week that we can maybe expect to be kind of challenged in this way, and if you see it arise, see if you can lean into it and be like, oh, this is an opportunity for me to strengthen my root system here, the root of who I am and my belief in that, my trust in that, my leadership in that, right? Look for those opportunities and gently lean into them, So given all of that, overall, with all of this unfolding and present for us, our anchor for the week is to really anchor in with the Hierophant. More leadership vibes and definitely self-trust vibes, wisdom vibes, looking to where you can find wisdom, whether that be a mentor or a teacher or some sort of supportive person like that. But Soul Tarot reads the Hierophant as an experience that we have within ourselves. That when this card comes up, we are encouraged to look to ourselves and our inner knowing and our innermost wisdom for the guidance that we seek, really tuning in with our inner knowing, tuning in and trusting our guidance, not deferring to anyone else, parents, pastors, teachers, counselors, doctors, not deferring to anyone else to tell us how we feel and what we need. Like learning how to discern that for ourselves and trust that and lead with that. Even if other leaders or teachers or parents or mentors in our lives may have other suggestions or ideas of what is best for us, the Hierophant reminds us that you know. You don't need anyone else to tell you. And it can be useful and wise and helpful to have leaders and mentors and teachers and guides and doctors and support like that to kind of help support you, right? And to like make sure that we are kind of checking ourselves and remembering that though we can't trust our inner knowing and our inner wisdom and really move from there, also acknowledging that we are human and we are biased and we do need maybe outside guidance or support or wisdom at times. So engaging with those things, sure, engaging with support, mentors and teachers, but not looking to them to tell us what we already know. And your mentors and teachers, a good mentor and teacher and leader and supporter, will work to help you come to that on your own, right? And not need them to do that for you. So just make sure, be aware of that, right? But that is our anchor for the week. And that feels, I know it's a little early for Christmas at least, but all of this is feeling really relevant for the holiday season where a lot of people feel a lot of pressure to visit with family who they may or may not feel very safe and supported around. Engaging with family or just things and people. It tends to come up around this time of year. Challenges to staying in our power, right? So I don't know. It feels like good timing for sure. So that's what I have for our tarot reading this week. On that note, let's go ahead and dive straight into this final week of Sagittarius season. Let's see what Expansive Astrology has in store for us as we wrap up Sagittarius season. The energy of Sagittarius invites us to explore what it would mean for us to structure our lives in a way that is in alignment with the soul, in a way that is more connected, more tuned in, more in rhythm with our passion rather than with capitalism or ego or other cultural expectations. Sagittarius invites us to engage with our most courageous, expanded, imaginative living possible. When discussing the tarot energies associated with Sagittarius, I spoke about the ways temperance initiates us out of our egoic experience and into further alignment with what it is our soul wants and with what our destiny is. The work of it is in taking the brain out of the commander's seat and learning to go through life trusting a more soul-centered perspective. Because we're conditioned not to do that, right? In so many ways, we are conditioned not to do that. To live from a truly soul-centered place is fucking hard and usually requires a lot of change to get there. I can't tell you how often I hear clients say something like, but if I started sticking up for myself and raising my standards, I would start disappointing others and I would probably lose a lot of my relationships. It would require way too much change. I would lose everybody around me. Which is a big red flag, right? When you consider what it would look like for you to live from a place of heart and soul rather than what you're expected to do and be, rather than a capitalist perspective, and if looking at that tells you that it like looks and feels like a lot of change, that's all the more reason to get the fuck started, like right the fuck now, right? Like the more change, the more urgency. The more change necessary, the more urgency. It's time to build our lives around what sets us on fire. It is time to stop settling, stop putting up with less than what we want and need and deserve. It's time to embrace the massive amounts of courage it takes to shoot our arrows into the sky and gallop off in pursuit of what sets us on fire, Sagittarius style. And you have that courage inside of you. We all do. It might be really deep down in there, underneath a whole lot of fear and anxiety, but you have that courage inside of you. I promise. Living from the soul requires checking in with ourselves over and over and over and over again. Like, is this what's best for me? Is this still what's best for me? Is this what I want? Is this in alignment with my values and my goals? Is it still in alignment with my values and my goals? Is this conversation something I should continue to engage with? Is this thing that I've been engaging with helpful and healthy for me? Or is it depleting me? Is it still in alignment? Is it still in alignment? Is it still in alignment? That checking in process never, ever, ever ends. And it's not always going to be easy. To fully honor our soul's yeses and nos, even when the brain, or our culture, or our family, or capitalism might disagree, it's so difficult. And we get to decide what we engage with. Always. We have autonomy. We have free will. We get to decide what we engage with. This was always very comforting to me when sitting in long, boring staff meetings back in the day. If a meeting were feeling particularly unsufferable, I would picture myself just standing up, packing up my shit, and leaving forever. Reminding myself that I could stand up, quit my job, and leave forever at any time was very comforting for me sometimes. And would I ever do that? Probably not. It's more in my nature to do the proper procedures and line up another job first and like give the 2 weeks and whatever, right? But reminding myself that I could stand up and just quietly walk out and say, with peace and love, I'm never coming back. You can mail my last check. That idea was very comforting to me. But again, my point here, we get to decide what we engage with. Even if choosing change would look totally crazy and radical. Sagittarius is an energy that shoots for the stars. It is always keenly aware of the opportunities that exist, and it's eager to get its hands dirty and explore. It's willing to hop in the car and drive toward the sunset on a spontaneous road trip. It sees the opportunities and it's willing to chase them, which is beautiful. And Sagittarius is here to help learn how important it is to practice using discretion. Beware of overextending yourself, saying yes to too many opportunities, like being a yes man, quote unquote, yes man. Not everything needs to be explored, and not everything is for you. Empowered Sagittarius energy is all about shooting for the stars while staying in alignment with the soul. So let's talk about how we know. How do we know what is soul and what is brain? How can we learn what is a yes and what is a no? We're taught explicitly to mistrust the very parts of ourselves that are the most organic, most powerful, most magical. Our emotions, our intuition, our imagination, our freedom. And it takes bravery to set those parts of ourself free. A beautiful pathway towards soul is imagination, which we are so tuned in with as children. And slowly we stuff it farther and farther away as we grow. Play with tapping into your imagination a little more. What do you imagine the story of your best life to be? Glennon Doyle said, quote, "Perhaps imagination is not where we go to escape reality, but where we go to remember it. Perhaps when we want to know the original plan for our lives, families, world, we should consult not what's in front of us, but what's inside us." Unquote. That is so good. That is the exact practice for this season. To consult with your deepest inner knowing. Scorpio prepared us for this by helping us lean into our desire. Keep tapping in with your deep inner knowing and move from there. There's often a big difference between soul and our brain's preferences. That's the whole reason we ever feel really stuck or pulled about where we're going or what the right move to make is. Practice giving a voice to your preferences, tapping in with your preferences, acknowledging what they are and how they're impacting you, and allowing them to be released so that we can move in flow with the universe and with what actually needs to come up and out. Don't presume to know what's best for you. Surrender. Truly surrender. One of my favorite affirmations is, "I trust." That's it. Just, I trust. Try to sink in with that. I trust. The universe, God, myself, the path of my life, I trust. Another big theme here is promoting a sense of freedom for ourselves. Because unlike Scorpio, Sagittarius releases and resents attachment. It's like not even a thing this season, which has its perks, that's for sure. That drive off into the sunset courage is a huge strength of Sagittarius. And a no strings attached approach to life isn't always the best thing. It's wonderful to have freedom, and some strings keep us grounded and connected to our roots. We can have some rooted attachment and also have freedom. And I'd be willing to bet almost any time your brain is freaking out about feeling stuck in something, it's probably just fear-based. It's illusion because remember, we can change and shake things up at any moment, especially when we're practicing living from a very soul-based place. We might feel an inner calling to change and shake things up at any moment. And we get to have both an ability to be flexible and ever-changing and following our soul's calling and commitments and attachments and roots. We get to have it all. Again, tap in with your imagination with this. What do you imagine the most beautiful, tapped in story of your life could be. And remember, soul doesn't always make sense. Your brain will contract. It'll invite you into contraction, especially when we're following soul, because soul might jump around and change his preferences. Soul isn't on a linear timeline, and it doesn't care if the outside world thinks it's flighty or eccentric. So the more you can loosen up on that need for the brain to make sense of your soul's calling, the better. So Sag is here with us, helping us have the courage to dream big as we step into the last trimester of the year. And as always, the timing is absolutely perfect. We want to really embrace this courage and this fiery connection to what your wild soul desires, so that when Capricorn comes around, which is here to help us with refining things and buckling down and getting serious about bringing dreams to fruition, we'll be engaging with that from a much more genuine, tapped in, soul honoring place. So that's all I have for the Expansive Astrology this week. I hope it feels helpful as you navigate and embrace this last week of Sagittarius energy. Before I go, I have an astrological forecast for you for the week. You can find this printed in the show notes below, and all of these times are in Eastern Daylight Time. First, I'm going to tell you where the planets are and what they're up to, and then I'll tell you what the moon is up to. Starting with the sun. The sun is in Sagittarius until it enters Capricorn on December 21st at 4:48 p.m. And Mercury is in Capricorn as well as Venus. They're already there. So the sun will be catching up. We've got lots of Capricorn energy. And here's your reminder that Mercury retrograde is coming up at the end of this month. Enrollment for Retrograde Revival Guide is currently open. Members get a 10% discount code. Make sure to contact me for that. You can find more information on Retrograde Revival Guide on my website. I won't spend much time talking about it now. I'm also going to upload a little bonus episode talking about how I approach Mercury retrograde and everything you need to know about Retrograde Revival Guide. But moving on, we have Mars is still retrograde in Gemini. Jupiter is in Pisces, and it enters Aries on Tuesday, the 20th. Saturn is in Aquarius. Uranus is retrograde in Taurus. Neptune is in Pisces. And Pluto is also in Capricorn. The moon this week. Make note of these things. Keep in mind that these periods of time when the moon is void of course, it's just recommended that we kind of take it easy, release like expectations on any like goal directed, external directed activity, and really like focus on just turning inward and taking it easy. Tuesday the 13th, the moon is void of course all day. It goes direct on Wednesday the 14th when it enters Virgo at 3:45 a.m. Friday the 16th, the moon is void of course from 2:13 p.m. until it enters Libra at 2:49 p.m. It's also the fourth quarter on Friday the 16th. Sunday the 18th, the moon is void of course from 5:35 p.m. until it enters Scorpio at 10:31 p.m. Tuesday the 20th, the moon is void of course from 9:45 p.m. until it enters Sagittarius early Wednesday at 2:21 a.m. Next week, I will see you here for episode 32, where I will be officially welcoming in Capricorn season. And as always, keep in mind that you are formally invited to my next moon circle. This is happening on Sunday, December 18th, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, in person in Old Town Fort Collins or online from your sweet living room via Zoom. You can find more information on my website. This one will be in preparation for the new moon in Capricorn, which happens on December 23rd. And before I go, I just want to say a massive thank you to my members. I am so honored and thrilled to see the Meet Your Magic monthly membership growing and taking off. It's got me thinking about ways that I can add to it and expand it. So just a massive shout out to those of you who have joined the membership. And okay, on that note, that's all I have for you. It's kind of a short episode this week, but I will see you back here next week with more goodness. Take really good care of yourselves in the meantime. Good luck with that tower energy as a potential spicy opportunity. And I'll see you next week. All right, take care. Bye. Now, before you go, let me keep your ear for just a moment. This week's episode is brought to you by www.theselfcarewitch.com, my bread and butter, where you can find more information on my current courses, offerings, and other fun ways to connect with myself and yourself. If you enjoyed this episode and you dig what I'm doing here, please subscribe to the podcast, rate it, and leave a review. It helps so much. And if you'd like to connect with me, head to theselfcarewitch.com. I'd truly love to hear from you. Until next time, take care.